Hi, good evening. Welcome to Sports Today. And of course, it's about the round of 16 matches again now. Yes, last night there was a bit of an upset with the Czech Republic going past Netherlands and heartbreak for Portugal, of course. They lost 1-0 to Belgium. And you'd have to say, you feel bad for Portugal there because they played the better football between the two teams. Two very, very good teams taking on each other last night. Belgium, of course, going past defending champions Portugal. But now tonight is about the world champions and erstwhile world champions Spain, who've really struggled over the last decade or thereabout after a phenomenal run in world football, winning the 2008 Euro to 2010 World Cup and then 2012 Euro. France, of course, the defending world champion, the world training world champions. They'll take on Switzerland later in the second game. But first up, Spain versus Croatia, and I have with me Chinmoy, as usual, a well-known face on Sports Today now, and Shuman, who's joining us for the very first time. He'll of course, get into the details of both these games. But starting with you, Chinmoy, straight up, Spain versus Croatia. The thing to look at for all these four teams is that none of these teams has had a very good, smooth passage into the round of 16. Uh, Switzerland, we'll come to that later. What sort of challenge there'll be for France? But we've discussed the Spanish tactics, the Spanish style, the changing trends in Spanish football. What do you reckon uh, of the lineup first up against Croatia, and also what is going to be playing on the Spanish bench there? Because they'll know that Croatia are not going to be mere pushovers. There'll be a stiff challenge waiting for them there.
Absolutely right. The most important thing is that Luis Enrique, he is under flack, lot of flack. Why didn't he pick up 26 players and why did he take 24? Why there is no Real Madrid? And of course, the formation he is playing. Now, having said that, one has to understand that the fact is, whenever you look at Spain, we think about the romance of that 2008 to 2012 era, when you have
Hmm.
got the Iniestas, right? Just weaving magic. When you have got David Villa up front, you have got the Xavis, right? You have got in the goal Iker Casillas. Now, this is a rebuilding process for the Spain team. They have got one first time when Enrique took over the charge, there were some very sad incidents. He lost his daughter, so he left it and he has come back. Now,
Hmm.
once you rebuild a team, you got to face a lot of criticism, right? That is the nature. Now, coming into the playing 11 and coming some of the controversies as Alvaro Morata is having, I must tell you one thing. Some of the I mean people from their own country and outside, they relate success in the club football with the national team. It doesn't always happen. You have seen a
Hmm.
lot of the footballers are really super hit in club football, but when they come to play for the country, they're not the same person. Morata had a great season with Juventus. So he played
Hmm.
23 matches and he fired most often 12, 13 goals he has scored. So
Hmm.
the fans think that he will always score here. So that's why in social media he's been bombarded with a lot of the criticisms, threat to his daughter, so on and so on. In short, the lineup is not too bad. In a 4-3-3 formation, which Luis Enrique plays, at times they just maneuver it. It's a good team. You can see David De Gea. He doesn't get a find a place in the team. It's Simon in the goal. They've got a good defensive lineup. And when you find Laporta, he scored in that match. You have got the very experienced Jordi Alba. You have got
Hmm.
Eric Garcia in the defense. And look at the midfield. They have got the experience of Sergio Busquets, the man who is there right from the 2010 era. He has seen it all, right? He missed the match because of COVID. He has come back. There is a very talented guy called Pedri from Barca. Okay,
Hmm.
and up front they have got Morata and they have got Moreno. Now, one more thing, Rodri is also there. The guy Ferran Torres is doing very well with Man City. I come to one point, what one of the most important guys says, and that is Jonathan Wilson, inverting the pyramid. He wrote. He said that whenever you bring in a new format, what Jonathan Wilson, Schumann knows, a very renowned critic of the game of football in inverting the pyramid. He has written. He says that once you instill a new format, it takes time. It takes time through repeatedly practice to drill it into the head of the footballers. what exactly is the format and how you're going to pass. And there's a thing called pressing football. Now these teams, because you see they play for the clubs, they don't get much of time to practice together, so it takes a bit of time. For example, Belgium doing well, they have got their 15 members from the sides of 2016 onwards, they have retained the 15, right? And one more example, Chile, they have got this Marcelo Bielsa, the coach. They have a lot of time just having the same squad. It
Mm.
happened in 2003 World Cup, two World Cup rather,
Yeah,
when
yeah.
goes heading at the entire South Korea team for a camp. So in case of Luis Enrique, we should give a little bit of time, because
No, which is true. I'll just also bring Shubon in, because the thing about Louis Enrique, and you spoke about Spain and Morata. In fact, Chinmoy, the fact that Spain will be under pressure, Chinmoy and Shubon, additional pressure because of the couple of things that he mentioned. Reading in controversy already with the fact that they have had no Real Madrid players. They've struggled to enter the round of 16. It hasn't been the best of time for them there in the group stages. And then against also Alvaro Morata, right? This guy, uh, he's missed that penalty against Slovakia, and that's from
Rajushi,
there on
can
he
I wind
started.
it up with
Yeah,
one word? Can I
yeah,
just
yeah,
finish it one word with your
yeah.
permission?
Yes, please go
Okay.
on.
Now, there is a huge criticism, as you said, why not any real player? Now,
Hmm.
I find that what he has done is, see, it's maybe a bias, because Enrique from Barca, now he has had the cream of the team from Barcelona and Man City. And you can think Man City, Pep Guardiola. So the
Yeah,
format, the style, they are more familiar. So if
yeah.
that is a mistake, I think that's a mistake. He shouldn't do. Okay.
Hmm.
But I think his perception is that these two players, I mean, teams primarily consisting of Man City and Barca, that will fit into his scheme of things. That's my way of, I think, Enrique thinks that way.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, obviously he's backed his style as well. He's quite a he's quite a rigid character that way, right? He really backs his strengths. He knows he seems to know that what he's doing is right, absolutely right for the Spanish team there. But of course, time will tell. Another round of 16 exit, and he'll be under severe pressure there to defend his selection and his strategies there. But also the fact is that this also means that, does this mean additional pressure for that bench there? Does that mean additional pressure for the coach, for the team? Morata, like we were talking about him, right? He missed that penalty. And by the way, Spain won that game, what, 5-0? Or they're about 5-0, right? He missed that penalty. But what people also, fail to remember when issuing those threats was he scored that opening goal against Poland. So public memory can sometimes be short-lived, especially among sports fans who are so passionate about their football. Shuman, that is going to be another riddle for Spain to solve. That look, we are a good team. Chinmay mentioned very correctly, that era, that happy era from 2008 to 2012, is they moved on to a different style. They moved on under a different coach, a very different team. But boy, this is what sport is about: the side action as well as what you expect to see on the field.
Of course, and more importantly, what I like to mention over here is like, yes, we have discussed about no Real Madrid player in the side. That's one of the talking points for sure, because we have seen players from Atletico de Madrid to be snubbed over here at some cases over here in this first 11 of the Spanish national team as well. But at the same time, what I feel is like, this Spanish team, if you compare this team from that era of 2008 2012 and this team, totally different formation altogether. That particular team used to play in a 4-4-2 combination with Torres and David Villa on the up front. This team usually plays in a 4-3-3 combination. And this 4-3-3 reminds me more of Middlesbrough back in 2000. When, I mean, on the right flank, there used to be one Curtis Fleming who used to run right. In this particular team as well, Aspilicueta would be doing the same over here from the knockout stage as well. His combination with Busquets would be absolutely crucial. Busquets, as Chinmoy mentioned just a few minutes back, was missing in the heart of the midfield. Rodri, yes, he's a fantastic player, but he hardly got any playing time over there in Man City in the last couple of years. So Busquets brings a lot of experience behind him, and he knows how to develop all those attacks as well as snatching it from the heart of the midfield. So, yes, it's a new style of play, but at the same time, it's maintaining the same aura of Spanish football of keeping the position. Yes, they dropped points in the first couple of matches, but if you see their gameplay, they maintain over 70% of the ball position. which shows that they were creating those chances with the possession because they had 45 shots on target in 3 matches, 15 on an average. That shows that they are following that same process of developing attacks with intricate wave of passes and developing into it. We all know Luis Enrique, he's an attacking minded coach. The prime example has been that remarkable game which they played against PSG in the Champions League. I mean, that was a remarkable turnaround. We have seen the last 20 minutes, the game turned on the heads. Same thing has happened, and same thing has been happening over here as well. In the last game, we have seen, I mean, we always say as commentators, like for strikers, if the goal is not coming, it's not coming. It's like a bottle of ketchup. When it starts coming, it's like anything. Same thing happened last game as well. Sarabia's inclusion in this particular team was just the thing what the doctor ordered for them, because Sarabia holds the play a little bit. Gerard Moreno, he always wants a play. We have seen it in Villarreal as well this season around, that he holds the ball on the right flank. As a consequence, it creates a lot of space on the left flank because he's a kind of a player who always drags a couple of players towards him. And that will create a lot of space, as it happened in the last game, and it will be happening the same time over here as well. Don't forget, in 2016 Euro Cup, these two teams met. It was Morata who scored, and then Kalinic and Perisic, they took the game away from Spain, though Perisic won't be available today. But same thing can be happening over here as well. But this time on another end, Spain can take it around.
Right. Before we go, also to France versus Switzerland, some very interesting aspects there from both Chinmoy and Shumon. Chinmoy, Croatia there. You'd say that they're probably coming from a little bit of a trickier group than say Spain, and they've handled that pressure because we all wanted to see what they do. They go with England, they go with the Czech Republic. It's also important to lay into perspective that Croatian threat. What do you think are those two? If I were to ask you to pinpoint those two top threats that the Spanish would face from the Croatians, how would the Spanish team leverage that, and what do you see not working for Spain that well tonight? Because, and before you take that, we're talking of ball possession. Remember what happened to that Belgium-Portugal game there. They had more shots on target, but Belgium only had to hit once in a game, which I thought was played with a lot of high intensity. It was a high intensity proper football match there.
If Spain is rebuilding their side, those glory days of Croatia has passed away. Okay, now you can see you miss Rakitic, you miss Mandzukic, and then see, the fact is, if you look at the Spain team, yes, you don't find people of previous era. And here, what happens is that there is a aging legs. Perisic, as Shuman was saying, is a vital cog in the wheel, right? He will be missing. He not only scored goals, he was there. He was there in the assist, and he had a remarkable 2018 World Cup. We all know. So he is going to be missed. And one more, there are two injury issues there. Lovren will be missed. Lovren rather, because he has got a dodgy knee, so he might be missed. Very experienced. Now, what happens with Croatia? I just come to Shuman's point. Now, Spain may not be really, they've got the headlines, have the river and setting on fire. But the fact is, they have made 2,100 some passes. And not only that, there is a thing called pressing football where you don't not only retain the ball or regain it. Now, irrespective of the result you get, these guys are very young, fresh in legs, so they will run. They will run, which I feel the Croatians, being at a bit of aging side, they will not be outrun by the Spanish team. This is what I feel with my knowledge, that Croatia, of course, Luka Modric at age of 35 years and the experience for Real Madrid, the the Golden Boot, that man, 2018, was it Golden Boot? Is it Golden Boot? Or what do you say? Golden Boot, right? Yeah. So that man, see, the thing is that everything has to come to an end. That one has to accept. I think the Spanish people, and they should accept that there is a transformation going on. And as you said, for Croatia, it seems to be. And if you look at the recent record, they've also won, but they've got a hammering of 6-0 against. You got a 6-0 hammering against in September 2018 against Spain. And if you look at the overall record in the Euro, This Croatia doesn't have a very, I mean, checkered. I mean, they have got a very glamorous result. Whereas Spain, they had a lean trot in the 90s, but then after 2012, they're again going through a sort of a. They're not getting the, I mean, the big titles coming their way. But I think this is the time they will salvage it. This is what I can feel. Okay, the team is also like the likes of Morata and all. They'll think that now this is the time really to show the world that yes, we can deliver. This is what I feel like.
Absolutely, and they'll be up for it, quite up for it, because both teams have a lot to play for. Of course, Spain. We've been discussing Spain. Remember that first chat we've had with Chinmoy and Chirag was also on the show. We were talking about the pressure Spain will feel, and now this is their moment of reckoning. But this is also this other big games: France versus Switzerland, the world champions. The defending champions are already knocked out. Will the world champions make it through? One of our prediction has fallen through. We were backing Netherlands to go through, even when we were analyzing the quarterfinal lineup, but that happens, and that's football. That's the beauty of it. And of course, Belgium, Portugal. I had predicted 2-0 there for Belgium, but and we thought it would be like it would be a high-scoring game. But that's exactly what happens sometimes between two such attacking teams, right? You sort of come up with sometimes you come up with a result like 1-0. It was a classic football match. I thought that was one of the best games of the tournament. But talk about France versus Switzerland there. Shumon, Chinmoy made an interesting point there that Mbappe is teaming up with Karim Benzema now. He's come to this squad after 4.5 years. But the fact is that they've also had to learn to live with these two together, and it's not been an easy. Again, this has not been an easy time for the French for the world champions. They have not looked the part. Look what they did 3 years back, and it's taken time. But do you think they're gradually settling in, and what will be the pressure and the pros and cons for France going into this face-off against Switzerland?
Of course, and more importantly, Didier Deschamps, he knows, I mean, his team very well. I mean, he has been leading this team for a long time. They basically play in a 4-3-1-2 formation, but the most important player in this particular, French side is Antoine Griezmann. People will talk about Kante and the Pogba combination. Yes, Pogba plays better every time he gets Kante on the midfield, but to be very frank, 53 games on a trot for Antoine Griezmann. It shows how important he has been. No player in this French side has maintained that consistency in getting a selection in the first 11. That shows how important he has been, despite the fact that we all know that he hasn't been that successful as he was with Atletico de Madrid when he played for Barcelona this season around. But I mean, Antoine Griezmann, he has been a perfect number 10, which the French outfit had got in the last few years. And he has been growing in confidence in the last couple of matches as well. If it comes in terms of Mbappe, yes, Switzerland won't be an easy nut to break. They have been more attacking compared to the other Swiss sides, which we have seen over the years. They had 47 shots on target in this particular Euro Cup in 3 matches. France had only 31, despite the fact that they possibly have the best attacking force on paper. But as we all say, football is not played on paper. Switzerland might create an upset tonight.
Right. Chinmay, football isn't played on paper, even though on paper you have some very impressive numbers. France haven't lost a competitive football match in over 2 years. They haven't lost to Switzerland in the last 7 outings. And even though you look at the French side and you say that, this is not as dominant as a French side as you'd like, they still got the job done. They're in the round of 16. They're with a dangerous combination and a manager who trusts his instincts. We've spoken about that as well. Take us to the lineup one, and then again that threat perspective from Switzerland, because we've seen over the years in sports you don't write off the underdogs, and Switzerland technically are far from underdogs there, Chinmay.
Before I answer the question, there is a simple thing. I love Johan Cruyff, right? He was a favorite student of Rinus Michel, who brought in this total football, and Cruyff really just manipulated, and the tiki-taka is a sort of a takeaway from that. Cruyff used to say, football is a simple game, but to play the simple game, it is the hardest thing. Now, why I say this in the context is Didier Deschamps. He is dabbling around with his formation, and the French press saying that some of the players are not very comfortable. I was reading something from one of the former French player, Rotten. I can't pronounce it properly. He said that Mbappe, Deschamps is not being able to handle Mbappe properly. Mbappe, I mean, he's tries to dominate. He's trying to have his own way. Now, having said all these things, what I feel, what is the connect between Crepes' word, John Crepes' word, and here is that if you try to dabble too much with the formation, players are not comfortable. As what was said, that it takes a bit of time, and you just look at the France team. They, like, unlike the French or other teams, they are not from conglomerate of 2 3 clubs. They are, I mean, absolutely spread. You look at from the defense, right? Rafael Varane, Real Madrid. Okay, I just go through Lucas Hernandez, right, from Bayern. Okay, now Thomas Lemar, he's have a leg injury. Marcus Thuram, so he's also injury. Now you got a Paul Pogba, Manchester United. Kante from Chelsea. You go up front. Karim Benzema from Real. You've got Otto Griezmann from Barca. Now the more varied they are used to different formats. So the thing with France is that there is too many. I mean, they have used to too many formats, and now they've come and trying to adjust with Deschamps. Now here also, what the expert is saying, usually what happens, the two wing backs, they consistently come for attack. Now here he's playing 4-1-4-1, and he maneuvers it at time. I mean, sorry, manipulates it. What happens? The two wing backs are sitting behind; they're not coming consistently. What it does, you can see they have scored only 4 goals. So France is not the same aggressive guy. Of course, Mbappe hasn't fired. There's criticism why he's not scored. I think commit the hour, commit the man. I think he might be doing it. And so far as Karim Benzema, he has got 2 goals. But think about, he has made a comeback after 5 years. 5 years. So it is even more difficult for him to fit into the system. And as Shuman rightly says, Arthur Griezmann, the most versatile, I would say. Most versatile. I was saying yesterday, Griezmann not only scores, but is a playmaker also. For Kylian Mbappe, he scores. He'll run through. Right, like Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo, they're not exactly the playmakers as Messi, for example. Griezmann, he sorts of maneuvers from the midfield and he scores. So I think France has got enough ammunition. Only thing, they need to gel well.
Yeah.
That's what I find from the press of the France, that little bit of clash of ego with Mbappe and things like that. Already we have found out Giroud and he has got a go with each other. But as I said, commit the man. And Switzerland, I just come to it. Switzerland, they run very well. As Shuman will agree that these teams, there is a thing called pressing. Pressing is once you lose the ball, how you chase the opponent and snatch it back. That's called pressing, right? So you lose the ball and you attack the opposition and win it back. Now, these teams, the Swiss and the Swedes, they are very good at endless. They call the running machines. Okay, they have got endless energy. So I think they will be banking on that. They will chase the France players. And I don't know really, as you say, it's not an easy thing to do against the Switzerland. Not pushover really. What we have seen.
No pushovers, absolutely no pushovers, absolutely bang on both of you there. But Spain, the French are going to be in focus. Shuman, I know you want to take a point. I want to just throw in one more. Pogba, Kante, Griezmann, these guys will be focused. We've spoken about Mbappe, Benzema there. What has been sort of an impressive comeback, but again, the fact is that this is looked like a star-studded team. This is a star-studded team on paper. Yet their setbacks, the kind of issues that they've had. Chinmoy pointed those out very rightly. And the fact is that against Switzerland, they won't find it easy. There will be those deft touches, and they know what they are up against tonight. Shuman, take it away before we go into the predictions.
Yes, I mean, and one more thing I just want to add to what Chinmoy just said. In fact, yes, on the left, Lucas Hernandez, he has been a proven footballer, and yes, he has proved himself in the last few years, established himself, cemented his place over there. But I somehow feel he's nowhere near to his best of form in this Euros. So Lo Dubois would be the preferred choice if it comes in terms of my prediction on the left flank. I think Lucas Hernandez will start from the bench because Lo Dubois this particular season he was meticulous with Lyon in this League One, and I mean he's one of the talking points as well as in that particular position. Well, and apart from that, what I mean to say with this particular combat rather. I mean, Embolo, he is by far one of the most promising footballers in this Euro Cup. He's full of power, full of running, and his individual brilliance will give a very, very tough time to Kimpembe and Rafael Varane on the heart of the defense. Because what Embolo does, He's quick feet. We have seen what it did the last time around when they faced Hungary. These two defenders, they struggled against quick feet footballers.
Mm.
Embolo would be a threat for France tonight. If they can stop Embolo,
Yeah.
it would be a cakewalk for France. But if they cannot, it will be tough for France to get a point from this game.
Right. There are plenty of ifs and buts in both those games, and both Chinmoy and Shumon, we've touched upon some points there, and see what we'll see. We'll wait and watch what happens as the night rumbles on. But Shumon, I'll take you first. This is your debut on Sports Today. Uh, the prediction, scoreline prediction for Spain versus Croatia, France versus Switzerland.
Spain 2-0. Uh, Second game, difficult to predict, but yeah, I think there might be an upset on the cards. 1-0
Okay.
or 2-1 in
As long
favor
as
of
you say
Spain.
upset on the cards, that's a big enough statement to make versus France. That's fine. We won't press for a score line there. Chinmoy, uh, upset on the card for France as far as Shumon sees it, and 2-0 there for Spain. What's yours?
See, upset doesn't happen every day. Okay, so what has happened is gone. But today, I think, yeah, Croatia France will be, sorry, Croatia Spain will be a very close fought battle, but eventually it will go for the in favor of Spain. And in case
Hmm.
of France and Switzerland, I think that France will scrape to it. It will not be an easy thing, not an easy victory, but at the end, France will win. I don't
Right.
know what the margin is, maybe 1-0 or 2-0. Okay.
Hmm.
But I think Kylian Mbappe, it's time that he fires at the back of the net. It will happen today.
Right. Then
Yeah,
there two
otherwise
big
I'd be
predictions.
a
Two
spot
big.
of bother in the, yeah, otherwise I'd be in a spot of bother in the fantasy as well if Kylian Mbappe doesn't score.
Well, well, two big predictions there. One is an upset on the card in the France Switzerland game, and Chinmoy wants Mbappe to score if try and score in that second game tonight. But we'll wait and watch, of course. And if this upset does happen, it will be much bigger than the one that we saw last night, the Czech Republic getting rid of Netherlands. But we'll wait and watch. That's why we keep coming back to you in Sports Today. And of course, we'll touch on the England Germany game as well tomorrow. There's some controversy brewing at Wembley where the German team was denied permission to train at Wembley ahead of their Euro 2020 round of 16 clash against England because it had rained and the field was, and they feared that there could be some damage on the turf. And German media has already screamed scandal there. So we'll come and touch upon that as well tomorrow. But for now, we'll wait for another hour or thereabout for Spain to take on Croatia. And after that, France taking on Switzerland. Of course, there'll be all these updates on Sports Today. We'll preview the games tomorrow as well as bring you plenty more on cricket. India has reached Sri Lanka for their limited overs tour under Rahul Dravid and Shikhar Dhawan. So we'll be able to get you a lot more on that on Sports Today. Do subscribe and do support our platform. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a very, very good evening.